Hi everybody, Gisele Grenier here from artplace.ca. So we're going to work on another background, and I've got my multimedia paper and I'm running out of gesso, so I'm going to have to get another tub here. Now I had to water this gesso down just a little bit of flow medium, only because because I'm running down to the end, it's drying out quickly. So what I've done, now the gesso is still pretty strong. Now I like using the Permalba white gesso because it's ground marble and with pure titanium white pigment, which is the same pigment that's in the Prima acrylics. So I'm going to put the paper, now I'm going to go right over a paper towel on the edge because I want to get some paint on the paper towel as well, because we can use that to create texture for another piece. I'm always working on multiple pieces at the same time. Okay, always thinking ahead. It's kind of hard with these videos though, because you can't really see all the pages that I have going. So covering this multimedia paper with a good helping of gesso. It's got to be thick because we're going to engrave right into it. Okay, and this is where you can take D. Of course, oh there it is. I thought I lost it. So then this is where you can now do some engraving on it. So whatever you want, just I'm taking my woodless graphite, which is kind of dulled down in the end, and I can do a real graphic eye here. Okay, and then we have our lid, and then we have our eyelashes. We have a bit of a line here, eyelashes here, and then I have the eyebrow. That's a pretty sad eye, but just doing we're making little pursy lips. Okay, just doing some real weird little engraving. You can do whatever you want. This is where you can just be creative. Now you see where I'm doing the drawing and the gesso's kind of enclosing back into it. That's just because it's too I add a little bit too much flow medium. So if that happens to you, what to do is just let it tack up a little bit, and then you can do your engraving. Yeah, it's just a little bit tacky there. There we go. Okay, just do something like that, and I can write, I'll just, on the side, I'll write nutty. Whatever you want. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside to dry. And I have one that I've already done. And this here, I'm going to let that dry out because I want to use that to create some texture for another piece I'm going to do. Okay, so I have one that's already, you can see a little bit in there. Now I'm going to bring this over. So I've got my palette here. Now what I'm going to do is, usually when I'm creating backgrounds, I typically don't like to have to reach with a palette knife. I don't like really using a palette knife when I'm doing my mixing, but because I use pure pigments most of the time, other than something that can't be found, I have to color mix a lot of my colors. So I've got a big slop of titanium white here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a pigment that's like an ocean color. And the nice ocean color is cerulean blue. Well, Prima makes cerulean blue already made up for you, okay? Which is really convenient, but it's easy to mix it up yourself just by taking titanium white with a little bit of phthalo blue, which is another heavy staining color. So I put some extra painter's glove on. And then from here I can move a little bit aside and I can touch into a smidgen of phthalo green. And that just puts a little bit of green in it, a little bit more. There we go. If you want to get something like cobalt blue, you would take phthalo blue with a little bit of ultramarine blue. And then I can take some where I can put a little bit more phthalo blue in here. A little bit heavier. Phthalo blue is extremely powerful. Rarely do I use it on its own other than maybe on a black painting surface, like a black canvas, to make a transparent glaze. Okay, so I'm just going to go over here now. And I can use my palette knife so I don't waste what's there. Look at that. Scrape, scrape, scrape. But put a little bit too much there. I'm going to leave that. And what you're doing is, as you're scraping, it's going, skimming the paper and not going too much into the grooves. This is with just phthalo green. Here's just with phthalo blue. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Okay. I can take a little bit of the mixes that I made. Now I'm going to get another journal page. I'm going to go right over. And I'm going to take, again, the mixes that I made. Oops, I just picked up a little bit of blue there. Okay? And I'll go over a little bit more and I'll do it again. Because especially with the edges here, I can layer. Now I'm liking the blue on top of this. Let me do a little bit more of that. How easy is that stencil? Look at that. Now, if I didn't want this line, I would just basically apply the paint this way. Okay? Then I can go over. Now I can kind of curve that. Always scraping. There we go. At the same time, I'm getting it on the other side of this page, which creates some really neat effects. It's all about multitasking. There. Like that. So I'll just take this one aside. Okay. And then scrape, 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 scrape. Hopefully you're able to see what I was doing there. I try to keep the camera zoomed out so you can see what I'm, as a whole I'm doing, but then sometimes I really want you to see up close. And then I can take my scraper and go into a little bit of phthalo blue and have some shock value here. You really want to just scrape the paint. Now this is just a scraper that it's actually a vinyl siding for the house where we're looking for some samples. There we go. So these are nice ocean colors and layer, and I can pick up a little bit of phthalo green right on top of the blue. And the colors all go together. Because phthalo blue is blue on the green side, and phthalo green is green on the blue side. And they're both cool. Color temperature, they're both cool. They're both semi-transparent. They're both synthetic, so they're very intense. And they naturally also go together because you need blue to make green. And just layering and layering and layering. Whoops. Oh, that's neat. I put too much paint there and I pushed it in and it filled in the engraving. But I think I have a little bit too much in there. I'm just going to grab myself a baby wipe. Now if I was doing this in oils, I would use a Clorox wipe. And just going to remove a little bit of the paint there to distress it, and then can stain. That way I can see through. See, I put a little bit too much paint there, but it's still a neat effect. I can stain the rest of the paper. I may actually leave that part even not covered up so much. Here, take a little bit of blue. There we go. When I was removing the paint, it did stain the paper, but then as I'm coming over now with the darker blue, it still allows me to see the engraving. I'm going to take a little bit of the green and kind of go over. And as you work the page, it starts to curl and crimple a little bit, and that's really neat because you don't get an even layer of color. Now, you can do anything with this. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it. I'm going to take a bit of green now into here. You can do it any way you want. That's the thing, is this is just a background page, just to, so you're not, I'm not working on just white. I hate working on a blank page when it comes to whether I'm doing journaling or a pochade for a formal painting. And yes, these are pretty intense and pretty bright. You never know what you're going to get. So I'm looking at this, and I actually can see some type of seascape developing here. This is neat. I'm going to take a little bit of white, go into some white, and you know what? Let me pick up. It's going to pick up a bristle brush, large bristle brush, and just going to go into white, and I can just dry brush. Dry brush is without water. You're letting the brush skim the surface, similar to what we were doing with the palette knife. I love dry brushing. And just breaking up some of the solid color. Because everything was being scraped, it dries really, really fast. Now I'm not seeing that seascape anymore, but what I am seeing is a background that once it's neutralized a little bit, where it's not so busy, but I could see a floral still life being in here. Or if I was doing an abstract, I could even do a pet portrait with it as an abstract on here. See? But these are just starting points for you, just to give you some ideas to get you going. But I like breaking this stuff up. And if I wanted to go even further, I'm going to reach over here. I've got paper, toilet paper rolls and paper towel rolls that I cut out, you know, little things like this. And then what I'll do is I can go into, I just have to spread the paint out a little bit thinner. Let's see, with the white. Okay, and I'll just go in and I can put some shapes. There we go. Paint's starting to dry up a little bit. And go in just to break it up. Let me go into, well, I haven't cut this one yet, but I'm just going to use this one because I like different sizes. This is better. There we go. Much better. What's really nice is when you do this with gold, and then keep going so the paint dries out so you get different values. There we go. Nice distressed page there. I'll put that aside. And I can go over it again. So here's just another idea for a background that you can do. And it really, what I started off with is basically not where I thought I would end off. My intention with this was just to basically just cover it with the very, very light green, the seascape colors, but I was inspired by the shapes in here. And how lovely is that? Okay, so hopefully this gives you some ideas to create your own engraved gesso backgrounds.